This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Matt Humans today, in for Paulie Howard with the day off. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. We're going to go heavy preseason NFL today. We'll sprinkle in the Major League Baseball card coming up tonight as well. 4 strong guests, including Chuck, the Iceman Edel. In 30 minutes, he loves betting the NFL preseason. He was 79-44 with some pushes last year to win the Friday Football Invitational here at Circa. That's an incredible record. Can't wait to talk to Chuck, Matt. Loves this time of year, and always great to pick his brain and see what he's on, although these numbers have gotten out of control at this point.
That's true. Chuck, the Iceman Edel is one of only a couple people I talk with about NFL preseason football every year, because I know that he's ahead of the information and ahead of the number most times. And Chuck and I talked about it a couple times here in the past 2 weeks. So it'd be great to have him on today. Even if you got the better of the number last night, you probably got burned, except for the Raiders game late last night. We can talk about that coming up. But Mitch, the line moves were wrong sides on Thursday night, and so far in the NFL preseason, we have 4 overs and 4 underdogs.
Yeah, hopefully I'm wrong here, but my guess is, knowing Chuck, he probably did not have a good night last night, because he is in front of these moves all the time, and he loves, he watches all the press conferences, picks up on what these coaches are saying, and he's part of the sharp moves a lot of times in the NFL, and those numbers just got, wackadoo. And if you followed him, if you tailed him last night, you got absolutely burned and lost every bet, which is unfortunate. I'm guessing books did quite well last night, although they're not taking $1 zillion on these preseason games overall. But all the moves were wrong. And then what I found intriguing too, Matt, last night, after last year when weeks 1 and 2 started 26-6 to the under, forget about it last night. The exact opposite.
Yeah, it's a short sample so far, but 4-0 to the over so far. So you can't overreact to trends like that. But what I was seeing last night is these offensive coordinators letting the quarterbacks play.
They really are.
And you're not seeing many top-line defensive players out there, right? It's mostly second-string, third-string guys. Now, the Bengals played their first-stringers last night, but it didn't matter because they looked like second- and third-stringers.
That's right.
But so far, I think the biggest difference I've noticed is that the play calling has changed. Instead of 4 preseason games, you got 3. And a lot of coaches are using the joint practices and the scrimmages as well. And we can talk about the Dolphins-Bears situation as well during the show today. But I'm seeing coaches actually calling more plays to open the playbook and let these quarterbacks air it out a little bit. Remember how conservative so many coaches were in the preseason? Would be hand it off, punt. And you would see just ultra-conservative game plans. I'm seeing kind of the opposite so far.
Last night was pretty alarming going down that path. And, so I'm looking at a quote right now, or what Pete Carroll told the media after the game. He said that they intentionally kept their play calling basic on both sides of the ball against the Seahawks. I don't know, if you watched that game last night, after Aiden O'Connell had a rough start to the game, right? And the broadcasters, including Rich Gannon, they were very difficult on the team. And they looked like trash a lot of different times in that game. The defense specifically, I thought there was a sense of urgency. Like Carroll was playing that game in the second half like he didn't want to lose the game. Like it felt like it was almost rapid fire. Here we go. It's going to be a breakneck pace. We're going to go down the field, taking some shots here. What was that we watched last night? I had the under 37.5. I was contemplating getting out when it was 34.5 during the game. I didn't, so that was a loser from me. But that game eventually flew over the total.
It did. And what's interesting to me is you could tell in the second half Pete Carroll wanted to win the game.
There's
no question. He was coaching to win. Bernie Fratto, a friend of ours, was texting me during the game last night, and he was looking to bet the Raiders live in the second half, which turned out to be a good play. They were down 16-3 at the half. And they looked so bad in the first half on both sides of the ball. Aiden O'Connell was awful. I was talking about the JT the Brick video where he was hyping up O'Connell, and some of the other Raiders reporters I heard talking about O'Connell's been tremendous in camp, out playing Geno Smith, and he looks fun. He looks great. And I watched him in the first half last night. I said, this is the exact same quarterback I've been watching for the last 2 years.
Identical.
Huh?
Identical guy.
Yeah, where's this big difference? I don't see it. Now, he came out in the third quarter and he looked much better. He made some good throws, but he made 2 horrendous throws in the first half. Badly underthrown ball on a deep ball where he had the receiver, had 2 steps on him, and then he telegraphed a pass that the safety was able to pick off, and he stared down his receiver the entire way. So the Raiders were in a big hole. At that point, it was probably the right time to jump on them live because Pete Carroll did coach to win that game in the second half last night. They were throwing deep balls. They were stretching it out. You know what was interesting to me in the first half last night, too, and you bet the under, and I thought it might work in your favor this way. The Seahawks were not playing vanilla preseason defense last night. If you're watching it, they were changing looks right before the snap, and that was part of what confused O'Connell, I think, in a couple of those series there in the second quarter. The Seahawks, you don't typically see that where teams are changing their defensive looks right before the snap and blitzing, but they were doing that last night.
Yeah, so, AOC did turn it around. Again, that was later in the game, and obviously we're talking about fringe players here for Seattle at best playing at that time. But also, like in terms of just betting the preseason for the Raiders this year specifically, Cam Miller looked good.
Yeah, he did.
And he threw that 1 touchdown pass that I thought was pretty impressive. He was 6 of 7 overall, 76 yards and a touchdown. I don't know. Are the Raiders a team that you want to back maybe moving forward here? If you grabbed the 1.5 with them last night before that big move, right? You ended up being a winner.
I needed that too because it was not a good night before that. We talked about this on the show yesterday. I said, man, it swung so far, 7-point line move up to 5.5. I probably have to take a little bit back with the Seahawks, right? At plus 5.5, so I did that, and it turned out great.
You won them both? Wow.
I did lose on the Bengals. I did lose on a Bengals money line parlay, so got off to a rough start last night. I did have the Bengals first quarter, which was a winner. And I think that there was a lesson that came out of that game, too. Just bet the Bengals first quarter. Shouldn't have messed around with the rest of the game, right? Because Joe Burrow played, and he had 2 touchdown passes in the first quarter.
Right down the field.
Huh? Yeah, moved right down the field. The Bengals were – the best bet was Bengals first quarter. And when Joe Burrow, a guy like that, and Jamar Chase, players of that caliber, are going to be in there in the first – why did I even mess around with the game? Should have just bet the first quarter. Now, sometimes in preseason, what's the problem is, and Chuck Edel is going to talk about it too, we're trying to get ahead of the line move on the Bengals. So you lay 3, it goes up to 6. You think, okay, I got some closing line value. The problem is you can't get the first quarter, first half numbers until a lot of times the day before the game because in the preseason, those don't go up early.
Sure. Well, a couple of other backup quarterbacks that you might want a piece of. I mean, McKee looked really good in that game for the Eagles, right? Overall numbers, 20 of 25, 252 and 2 touchdowns. That game absolutely flew over the total. Eagles were plus 220 on the money line. The Bengals defense again, whew, boy, oh boy. But also with that Raiders game and Cam. So if it's going to be, we didn't see Geno much last night. A combination here of Aiden O'Connell, Pete Carroll's desire to win preseason games. This goes back throughout his entire career. Cam Miller looking good last night. And as long as that team is playing backups in the preseason on defense, I think they're going to be an over team. They were out of place. They didn't know what they were doing last night. Totally dysfunctional on defense. And the Seahawks and Drew Lock looked like, this is going to be too easy for the team.
Sure.
In that first half. And the game eventually ended up 23-23. And I don't want to overreact and get too nuts from last night, but there's a lot of observations, I think, to take away anyway for the next couple of games for these teams.
Yeah, especially the Raiders. They look like they're going to be an over team in the preseason. The defense looked ragged. Yeah. And offensively, you got 3 quarterbacks that can play. Geno Smith was 1 for 3 for 15 yards. He was out quick last night. Didn't make much of it. It was just a cameo appearance by him. But Raiders do look like in the preseason, at least, they're going to be an over team. When you get to the regular season, I'm not so sure, Mitch, because Chip Kelly is a run-first play caller.
Yeah.
And he is going to force-feed Ashton Genty and Raheem Mostert and those running backs. And, you got to think the Raiders' defense, once you get Max Crosby and some of the other first-line guys on the field, it's going to be a little bit better. But in the preseason, I'm looking to bet on the Raiders and probably over the total in the Raiders' next 2 preseason games.
I don't disagree with that.
I did like Tanner McKee a lot, by the way. I watched that tape last night when I got home. And I've always liked Tanner McKee going back to Stanford anyway, and he's looked pretty good in his previous appearances with the Eagles. But it's interesting last night that when you got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who just led the team to a Super Bowl, I heard that on social media there were a lot of Eagles fans who were calling for Tanner McKee to be the Eagles' starting quarterback.
Yeah, well, actually,
he might be better than Hurts. Would we win more games if we had McKee than Hurts? That was actually a discussion among Eagles fans on social media last
Do you
night.
think, and it's always good to have a nice backup quarterback, obviously. You need that because guys go down all the time. Do you think if a guy like that shines a lot in the preseason, like a team like Philadelphia could say, man, his trade value all of a sudden, we're looking at something here that we never thought we could get for him. Now we got to like fire while the iron's hot.
How about this? How about the Saints? Kellen Moore just came from Philadelphia.
Okay, there's a good angle.
He's got Tyler Shuck as his quarterback. He's got a couple of backups who really can't play. Why would Kellen Moore not try to trade for Tanner McKee?
That's intriguing. They have weapons there on offense, but the quarterback room is a disaster. And then the other one, our buddy Chris Massero here, Pro Sports Bettor, he's been sending me texts for the last couple of days. He's all in. This is before last night's game. He is all in on the Colts under 7.5 wins. And he likes it more now, even after what happened last night. The Richardson pinky does, but that's on him. Guy, come on, man. You can't feel that rush coming?
He can't. He can't read defenses. There was one play last night where the Colts had a wide-open running back in the flat and a receiver who did a quick out, and there wasn't a defender within 10 yards. And Anthony Richardson never even looked at that side of the field. He was looking at the other side of the field. He is a long way away from being a winning quarterback in the NFL. And by the way, the Colts' special teams are a mess, too. The defense didn't look too good.
That was fun, huh? I mean, so all those line moves were wrong, and then, it took almost a minor miracle for the Raiders to tie that game, but you're like a sliver away from all three dogs, kind of decent dogs last night, winning all those games.
You know who had that bet? Will Hill.
All three of them?
All three dogs on the money line last night.
Well, so then he won it, right, on a two-teamer then?
He got a two-teamer.
Yeah. We'll get into tonight's preseason slate coming up next. Once you know it, significant line move again. What is Matt like? We'll ask him coming up.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
On the next A Numbers Game, it is Bet Bash Week. That means a bevy of guests on the show for the next 5 days. Who will be on Monday? Well, we'll find out. Could be Dr. Bob, could be Spanky, could be Rufus Peabody, anybody. Captain Jack, who joins us from the conference. But our regulars will be there for sure. Wes Reynolds on golf and everything he's betting in the sports betting landscape. And Major League Baseball's at the quarter pole. Paul Sporer, who's going to be sneaky good if they creep into the postseason. And, of course, DFS. Numbers Game, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, right here at VSiN.
The quest for $14.2 million starts right now.
We've waited. It's now here.
Record-breaking signups, $14.2 million. Also record-breaking chaos.
The number one team goes down in week 1.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, obviously, this game was supposed to be Bengals blowout. No!
I'm done. The dream of going back-to-back is over.
Come on, baby!
Nobody could see this one coming.
No way the number one pick goes down in week number 2, but it did.
This has been the craziest year that I've ever seen.
By week 4, 75% of the entries are gone.
This is a tough competition, and it is not for the faint at heart.
Within 5 weeks, we'd lost 97% of the entries.
You can feel the tension like a hot knife through butter.
How many survivors will make it to even mid-season?
New episodes nightly at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Coming up in 15 minutes, Chuck the Iceman Edel on the program, the defending winner, champ of the Friday Football Invitational here at Circa. 79-44-3 was the record last year. Loves betting NFL preseason. Chuck also, he thrives betting totals in college football. He was on, this goes back a couple of years ago when we were doing, this show was in the mornings. He was on either it was 20-1 or 21-1 run during the college football season. And he was coming on Fridays. The numbers have been up on the board for a week. Yeah. He's crushing it, I mean, it's not like that all the time, obviously, but that's what the guy's capable of.
Not like that all the time. I'll say Chuck is, I get asked the question a lot of times, which pro bettors would you recommend? Who do you think are the best? I said, well, I always say my first answer is Chuck Edel. He's the most consistent winner I know among the pros. And he's not a tout. Right? Some guys are out there touting. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm not taking a shot at him, but Steve Fezzik put out 3 plays on his tout service on the NFL preseason last night, went 0-3. But I can guarantee you, and a lot of guys will say, I saw a screenshot of it on Twitter today, that's why I know that. But a lot of guys will say it's a lot easier to win when you're betting your own money than it is on the tout service, which is true. I can almost guarantee you that Fezzik bet the other side on all 3 of those games after the line moves. Right?
Oh yeah, okay.
I think he had the Raiders at -110. I'm sure he I'm sure he bet the Seahawks at +5.5.
So you say, I'm sure Steve got ahead of all the line moves.
Right.
Exactly. He wasn't giving out Bengal. I don't know this. I didn't see it, but I'm guessing
he had him at good numbers.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm sure he came back on the other side and bet it. So he ended up breaking even, or maybe a small winner. Who knows? Small loser. Either way. But on the tout service, you're 0-3, and a lot of people calling you a bum. But that's the difference. You have to also teach people how to be bettors.
Right.
If you got the best of the number, if you got the Raiders +1.5 like I had last night, you got to come back with something on the other side.
I think
Seahawks +5.5.
Yeah,
right?
even not.
You don't have to come back with the same amount.
Exactly right. You can come back with half, or just make whatever you think is a reasonable bet there. Like we're talking about if you're going to go NFL regular season when everybody's going to be betting that stuff. If you could have a situation where you're on a game that opens up pick. I don't know. Maybe you're betting this stuff a week in advance, right? Which I like to look at and bet sometimes as well. If you have a game that's a pick 'em, and then something happens that week, and one team gets blown out, the team that you bet against, and then all of a sudden, when they match up the upcoming week, it's all of a sudden 3.5. In the NFL, I think you got to come back with 3.5 at that point. You almost have to.
Right.
Now, some people will say, I don't want to give away any of my money here because I think I have a really good bet, which you do at that point. But like you said last night, there's a chance here where you're going to actually win both, and then you're going to be smiling at the end of the day.
In the NFL, even in the preseason, if you got 5 or 6 points of line movement, that's a lot of value.
Yeah.
That you got to play on the other side. If you were ahead of the numbers on all 3 of those plays last night, if you had the Colts, right? If you had the Bengals, you had the Raiders saying, I've got ahead of all these line moves, I got great numbers. I don't want to give anything back. I'm just going to play those. You went 0-3.
Yeah.
Right?
So, for example, like tonight,
actually the Raiders, you would have won if you got +1.5 or +1.
Very true.
Yeah.
So the Browns are playing at the Panthers. This game opened up Carolina -0.5, and then since the opening number was put on the board, we have learned that Shedeur Sanders is going to start for the Cleveland Browns, and you can take a wild guess what happened to the point spread. Then the Panthers are laying 6.5 in this game. But, Matt, do you a couple things here. Mm-hmm. Do you have a good number on the Panthers here? And then what would be your thought process here, knowing that Shedeur Sanders is going to be starting and the number is now 6.5? Would you come back and grab that number with the Browns right now?
Okay, so here's what – by the way, I should mention technically I guess those Fezzik plays would have been 0-2-1 because that Raiders -110 would have been a push.
Yeah,
but if you laid a point or anything, if you laid any points with the Raiders, obviously that's a loss, and that thing steamed all the way up last night. Here with the Panthers, I was talking about this with Will Hill on the show a couple nights ago. Of all the favorites on the first couple nights in the NFL preseason, oddly enough, I trust the Panthers the most to win the game. And I like the Panthers bet the most because I don't think Kevin Stefanski and the Browns give a damn about this. And they're throwing Shedeur Sanders out there. He's not going to have his first-team offensive line.
Nope.
And he has looked, from all reports, pretty bad in camp. The Panthers have a coach who wants to win. He's going to play his quarterback. He's going to open up the offense. He takes the preseason pretty seriously, and he's trying to get these guys revved up and ready for week 1. I understand the line moved to 6. I anticipated that. I've got Carolina -3. I'm not even sure if I'm going to play something back here because this is the type of game where I think the Browns should get blown out.
Okay. At this point, then.
Snoop Huntley is their backup quarterback. He just got to camp like 5-6 days ago.
Yeah, so it's going to be standard. Like if Huntley was there for a month, whatever, he's signed in the offseason, okay, I think Huntley's a guy that you can go to war with in the preseason.
Right.
Not exactly the case here. So now with the current number, and it didn't work out last night, obviously, playing like moneyline parlays, it sounds to me like you would be interested in playing Carolina in a moneyline parlay.
Yeah, I think so. What's right around -250, 260.
Yeah.
Probably worth it. I trust Carolina the most out of all those favorites to win the game. And, of course, Carolina's a home favorite. Last night you were talking about the Colts road favorites, Bengals road favorites, Raiders road favorites.
Yeah.
Not that home field advantage means a lot in the preseason, but still in the, you're always a little bit cautious when you're laying a big price with a road favorite.
Sure.
Panthers tonight, I think, have a coach and a quarterback situation. Andy Dalton, the backup, Jack Plummer also in that rotation. I'm just very skeptical of what we're going to see from Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to look, Matt broke this all down. It's up on the website, VSiN.com. You have a look at depth charts here, the quarterback rooms for every single team. You can go find it there. As he just said, Bryce Young, Andy Dalton, Jack Plummer are the guys in the Carolina quarterback room. Other game, Lions are playing at the Falcons. Detroit opened up a half-a-point favorite here after they got blown out. Looked awful. They were embarrassed in the game, the Hall of Fame game last week. Now they're laying about 3.5 or 4 as they take on a Falcons team that, you're going to be seeing a lot of Easton Stick in this game and probably Emory Jones as well, and the total is 33 or 33.5.
So last week during the Hall of Fame game, Will Hill and I were on the show, and Will said, you got to bet the Lions in week 1 of the preseason, right? And I said, typically in the NFL, that's the way I like to think. When a team looks really bad one week and nobody wants to bet them, I want to be on that team the next week. And the Lions, you would think they have 7 new coaches, including the 2 coordinators who are new, and they looked so bad last week in the Hall of Fame game. You think those coaches are going to be motivated to clean this thing up this week. So I think the Lions are in a pretty good spot to bet on here. Also, it's kind of a perfect storm because I hate the backup quarterbacks for the Falcons. Right? Easton Stick.
They're not. It's not pretty.
Easton Stick and Emory Jones? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but also I can come back and say Hendon Hooker, Kyle Allen.
I know. Hendon Hooker and Allen looked pretty bad in Canton last week.
Yeah.
Those guys are not Hall of Famers, that's for sure. But I think the Lions, with a game under their belt, too, are in that situation where they should be better prepared to win this game tonight. I understand the line move. Will Hill got ahead of it. Will, I think he laid 1 or 1.5 with the Lions. It's up to 3.5. I have nothing on this game, but I understand why he liked the Lions, and I was kind of seeing the same thing. I just didn't bet it. Like you said, I watched the replay of the Hall of Fame game 3 times last week. We don't have any other football to watch, right? Got to record.
That's a lot.
So I'm working at the desk at night, and I'm replaying it, playoff games and things like that. But it's amazing how bad the Lions looked, and those 2 quarterbacks looked like a couple of stooges.
Oh, they were absolutely terrible.
And obviously Kyle Allen was worse, but Hendon Hooker didn't do much.
No, not at all.
Either.
No, I mean, it made me think, actually, if something happens to Jared Goff this year, they're in a world of hurt. That's what I thought of last night watching that game. And I don't want to get nuts here again with one preseason game, but that's what I actually thought of. In the other one, Washington takes on New England. Pat's home field here. Open up 1.5-point favorites now, 6.5. Total 34.5, 35. Dan Quinn does not have a good track record in preseason football. Was 7-17 straight up overall. If you go back, though, Mike Vrabel's first year in Tennessee, he was 0-4 straight up in ATS. And you're looking at Josh Dobbs, Ben Woolridge tonight for the Patriots. The Commanders' quarterback room behind Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota is Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson. I don't know. 6.5 here feels like a pretty big number to me.
I think it's too big a number for me, too. And, in fact, I didn't get ahead of this number, and I don't want to bet it now. What's Josh Dobbs going to do when he's out there? Ben Woolridge played at Louisiana. I bet most people who bet this game tonight have no idea where Ben Woolridge even played college football.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't expect him to get a whole lot done. On the flip side, I think Washington's got a little bit better quarterback situation with Hartman and Josh Johnson, but it's not that great either. Maybe you look under in that game tonight.
Yeah, all right. The college guide is out, Matt.
It is?
Yeah. Well, were you aware of this?
I hadn't heard that.
No.
I had not. Is the NFL guide out yet?
It is.
Oh, that came out last month. Okay, the college football season is almost here. August 23rd. Get fired up. Stanford at Hawaii. VSiN Primetime is going to be there in Honolulu. Don't bet college football without the VSiN betting guide. Get previews of all 136 FBS teams, our preseason top 25 power ratings, systems, best bets. Sign up now. Receive the college and NFL betting guide, plus the daily best bet emails, real-time betting splits, 24/7 video, full access to vsin.com. Start today for just $9.99 or get a full year. Save 50%. vsin.com/subscribe. $9.99 is too cheap.
That's a great number. Chuck the Iceman Edel next. He loves betting the NFL preseason. 79, 44, and 3 last year here in the football contest.
They're off.
Get your edge this season with VSiN's College Football Betting Guide, exclusive to VSiN Pro subscribers. It's packed with 136 team previews, preseason top 25 rankings, and best bets from our experts. Pro subscribers also get the NFL Betting Guide, daily best bet emails, exclusive splits, and full access to our premium betting tools. Sign up now at vsin.com/subscribe for just $9.99 for your first 30 days. Or save 50% with an annual Pro subscription. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More preseason football here. Welcome back. We're live, downtown Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Mitch Moss along with Matt Humans. He's in for Paulie Howard with the day off today. We head out here to the Progressive Guest Line. Chuck Edel joins the program now, professional sports bettor. He was 79, 44, and 3 last year in the Friday Football Invitational here at Circa. Incredible record. Chuck, thanks for the time today. We appreciate it. How you doing?
Great. Always good to be on with you.
We were speculating in the first segment today saying, Chuck's very good on the preseason. He's typically going to be getting ahead of all these line moves. Was that the situation last night as they moved, my God, 5, 6, 6.5, almost 7 points in some of those games?
Yeah, luckily I wasn't. I wasn't. I thought some of the line moves were crazy. I mean, even when you look at the very first game with the Indianapolis-Baltimore game, obviously we all know how Harbaugh in his history how good he does in the preseason. But a lot of money came in. They announced Richardson was going to play the first quarter and a half, and then Daniel Jones was going to mop up in the second half, and the money just kept on coming out of Indianapolis. And on the other side of the ball, Cooper Rush. If you ask me who do you want for one game, Cooper Rush or Anthony Richardson, I tell you Cooper Rush. And the fact that the game was at Baltimore and the money just kept on coming in at Indianapolis, I did grab Baltimore towards the end there, plus the points. I thought there's been a lot of line movements when teams are saying they're only going to play their starters maybe 1 to 2 series, and some these teams are getting we could talk about the Denver game that's coming up. I mean that's a similar situation. Even though I was lucky enough to get in Denver, but I bought that back as well. So, but some of these games definitely more than in the past. I feel like offer just a tiny bit of information. Pete Carroll said that. All my guys are live to play, and my starters are live, and boy, that like when Matt took the Raiders plus 1.5, that was a great bet. But once that line got up to 6.5, it was a ridiculous play, and Seattle was definitely the right side there.
And Geno Smith attempted 3 passes, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes these starters are not going to be in the game long. The Iceman is with us, Chuck. I don't know how many win totals you bet in the NFL, probably not a lot, but is it an overreaction to watch the Colts last night and say, I'm not high on the Colts anyway, but you watch the Colts last night and say, I like this team under the win total of 7.5 even more. Is that an overreaction?
Sometimes there is overreactions. I would say it's not an overreaction. I mean, we know Daniel Jones had plenty of time in the Giants. Maybe he wasn't always coached up the right way, or maybe he didn't have the players around him. But there was a reason why he didn't continue to play for the Giants. He didn't look good yesterday coming in when Richardson went down. And we know Richardson, listen, the guy's a super athletic guy, and but he can't stay healthy. Especially he likes to run the ball out of the pocket and so forth. It's going to be a problem keeping him healthy. And Daniel Jones, where are you going with him? I would only take the under. I don't think it's an overreaction, actually.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Chuck Edel, our guest here on the Progressive Guest Line. Okay, so for the card that we have coming up tonight, line moves again all over the place. Some of them, 5, 6 points, maybe even a little bit more. Carolina opened up a half against the Browns. Shedeur Sanders going to go for Cleveland in this game. Carolina's now laying 6, 6.5. What did you do with this game, and is there a bet that you would recommend to the audience right now with the current numbers?
So I did take Carolina. I didn't get the -0.5, but I laid 2.5 with Carolina. And they're going to play their starters. There are 8 to 12 plays in this game. And Young's going to play. You got Dalton coming in, a veteran backup coming in after him. I don't know how long he's going to play. And then, Cleveland's got a situation here where they don't, all their quarterbacks. Flacco's not going to play. They're not going to play him in a preseason. The other guys, Gabriel's out. The kid from Pitt, he's injured. So they just signed Huntley. How much he's going to play, I don't know. You're going to see a lot of Sanders in this game, and we'll see. I don't quite think he's ready for the game. So I did take Carolina -2.5. But yesterday the line went all the way up to 7, and I did grab some 7. I still have a position on Carolina -2.5, but I did buy a decent chunk back at the +7. And I actually have a prop on this game, which I'm not a big prop guy. I usually follow a few of respected guys on props, but there was a prop, I believe, is at William Hill Caesars that who will get sacked first, quarterback for Carolina or quarterback for Cleveland. And we all know, even watching Sanders in college, his pocket presence isn't that good. I took he would be the first guy to be sacked minus $1.30. I thought that was a cheap price. You know, and that was available at William Hill and Caesars. At Sanders, you know, Sanders will get sacked before Carolina quarterback. Well, actually, the Cleveland quarterback, which it will be Sanders, will get sacked first. And I thought that was a decent prop.
I like that angle. Would you consider Carolina, and this is like key, right, for the preseason, based on, again, when teams are going to announce, hey, our guys are going to go for at least a series, maybe a little bit more, always look at first quarters and first halves. If the Panthers are going to play their guys like 8 to 12 plays tonight, and it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, and you expect him to be up against it, would you look Carolina first quarter or first half in this game?
I would. Here's the situation why it's not always. If the first half lines came out on Monday when the regular lines come out, that's all I would be looking at. Yeah. You know, the fact that they're not coming out usually till, you know, maybe a few spots come out the night before the game. Most spots come out the morning of the game. So, you know, you look at Carolina, they were 2.5, now they're 7. So no bargain on the first half. I did play Carolina though, very small tonight in the first half. So I do have a little bit of play, but I had, you know, I laid 2.5 for the game, and you know, I laid 4 points for the first half. You know, so that's part of the problem you run into. The first half line is going to be not too good by the time the game time comes around on some of these plays.
The Iceman, reigning champ of the Circuit Friday Football Invitational, with us. How about the Lions? Obviously looked horrendous in Canton a week ago, but that might put them in a bet-on spot here. The line has moved in their direction from 1 to 3.5, total of 32 to 33.5. Did you bet the side or the total in the Lions-Falcons game?
I didn't, and you know, like you said, Detroit does have a game under their belt. Neither, you know, it doesn't look like any starters are going to play from either team. You know, so normally when you tell me no starters are going to play for either team, you know, I automatically would look at the dog there, and of course, then you want to look at the quarterback rotation, which is a little bit built into the line to begin with. But, you know, Detroit, I think, is going to have Hooker and Kyle Allen going, Atlanta, Easton Stick, and then Emory Jones, a kid who transferred 3-4 times in college. So I would say Detroit has a small advantage quarterback-wise, but I would never lay the points in this game. It would be the dog. You know, it looks like a coin flip type game. It'd be the dog or nobody for me.
Yeah. How about the other game? Commanders at the Pats. Another big one here. Pats opened 1.5 in some spots. The number is now, as high as 6.5, total about 34.5 or 35.
Yeah, I was able to grab a little bit of the New England. And again, you know, the New England's getting bet, I think, over bet now. I'm going to be looking, if it pops 7, I'll be looking to take some back with Washington +7. New England's going to play their starters 1 to 2 series. But, you know, that's it. And then you're going to see Dobbs and Woolridge finish up. Washington, they're really not playing anybody starter-wise. You're going to see Josh Johnson and then the Sam Hartman. So, you know, if this line goes up to 7, I would only look at the dog. I got a small play on New England. I wasn't able to grab the number everywhere, but I did take some New England early in the week. But I'll be looking to take it all back maybe on the dog if I can find a 7 here.
Chuck, we got about 90 seconds left, and we also got 8 games on the Saturday card. Anything you would recommend or anything you would bet on Saturday?
Yeah, with you know, Jacksonville was I'll be looking possibly to play the first half in the Jacksonville game. They're going to play their starters a few series. They're learning new defense, but as of now, I have nothing going on for. I did not make one play for the Saturday slate. I'll be looking to do a few things, but as of now, I don't have anything going.
All right, Chuck. Thanks for the time. Good luck tonight and this weekend when you do add stuff in the NFL. We appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
There you go. Before the line moves, the sharp plays is already there. They don't follow the market. They help shape it. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar sports books or full-time sharps all by yourself, but with the sharp plays, you don't have to. Backed by advanced AI and connected to trusted insider sources, the Sharp Plays delivers the kind of edge that serious bettors count on every day. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, and market-moving insights straight to your inbox or X-feed. And this isn't some summer side hustle. The Sharp Plays has been proving it since 2011 with documented results, public logs, and transparent receipts. Sharpplays.com, trusted by pros, watched by books. Visit sharpplays.com and stay ahead of the line. Yeah, it's a good point because, you're not going to get these first half numbers up with very much notice here. They're going to pop like maybe the night before or the day of. And I think what Chuck said, too, earlier, he doesn't really remember the lines moving this much.
Those are some big moves on the Thursday games, no question about it. I mean, you're talking about basically a 6-point move in every game last night.
I know, and then look at the Broncos game against the Niners this weekend. What's that been? I think a 7.5 point move, I think?
Seems like too much, too, because those teams are practicing against each other this week, and the game would probably be pretty vanilla.
Busy card tonight, Major League Baseball. We'll talk about it from a better betting perspective next.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a Friday. We're live in Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. We'll get to today's Major League Baseball card coming up here momentarily. Yesterday you were in, Matt was, Paulie's out today, but the three of us did the show yesterday for the final 90 minutes, and we went down the last dance of the drive-thru. Your final top 50 fast food rankings. It is up. You can get it wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search Follow the Money. I also tweeted it out today at Mitch Moss Radio on X. The feedback never stops. It's an annual thing, right? You're going to create a debate from coast to coast. People are going to agree or disagree. But what did anything stick out to you of the people that were contacting you?
There was a lot.
Yeah?
There's no question. It took probably 2 hours to go through all the Twitter stuff last night. And then I had several emails and text messages. In fact, just got a text message from a friend in New York who you would think would be pro Shake Shack. And he hates Shake Shack and says In-N-Out Burger blows it away. So go figure. But,
well, is that because – so let me guess here. No In-N-Out in New York, right?
That's right. So
he can have Shake Shack whenever he wants.
So he's sick of it.
Right. And so he only can have In-N-Out once in a while probably when he travels. And he's like, oh, my God, this is so good. I can never get my hands on this.
It's kind of like some guys leave their wives for girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds contempt. And then you leave, go to a new city, and find something else. I don't know.
Athletes would never do that, would they?
No, that would never happen. Tiger Woods never did that.
No, he did not.
You know what? It's funny because Chick-fil-A, I used to love Chick-fil-A even more when we didn't have it. And when Chick-fil-A came to Vegas.
I think you're right.
When Chick-fil-A came to Vegas, I'd go 5-6 days a week. And after a while, you go over and over and over and over, and you're like, I'm a little bit bored with Chick-fil-A.
My God, you hit it right on the – yeah, you hit that one out of the park. I could not identify why Chick-fil-A has slipped for me over the years, and that's it. Because I was thinking to myself, when I could only have Chick-fil-A in certain parts of the country outside of Las Vegas, it was a home run every time. And I would tell myself, my God, their sauces are so good. And I remember telling somebody, I will never get tired of their sauces. Well, here we are.
Tired of it.
10 years later, we got Chick-fil-A's all over the place, and I don't even crave their sauces anymore.
Rarely go. I go like once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Oy.
You just go 5 or 6 times a week.
Yeah.
So they always say, you see a smoking hot chick, there's a guy somewhere who's tired of her, right?
How many times was Halle Berry divorced?
At least 3 or 4.
I think so. Yeah.
So you can, I think sometimes you can get spoiled when you get a place right in your backyard. You get tired of it, and you appreciate the places that you don't have a little bit more.
True.
You know, like we don't have Culver's here right now. I drove down to Bullhead City, Arizona over the weekend, went to Culver's, ate there for lunch, drove up to the Laughlin Ranch golf course, played 9 holes. It was 115 degrees. Drove back to Culver's and ate again, right? Loved it both times. That's only 2 times I've had Culver's in the last couple months because we can't get it here.
Not here, yeah. It'd be number one it was number one last year for me.
Portillo's.
Yeah.
Rarely get a chance to go to Portillo's, go to Buena Park, California, or a spot over in Phoenix. But I will say I've got 3 or 4 really good Chicago food joints here in Vegas I go to a lot. You ever go to Rosati's?
Oh, I do.
Rosati's pretty good. They're Windy City Beef. There's a couple places like that. There's that are really good. So I can always get my Chicago food fix. That's no problem. Zippy's used to be, I could only get it in Hawaii. Now we've got multiple locations in Vegas. So it's always interesting when you crave a place that you don't have in your hometown and you go out of town and you get it and you're like, this is the best thing in the world. Then you finally get it in your hometown. After a while, you might get a little tired of it.
Matt's column for the entire rankings, it's so beautifully done. It's up right now at VSiN.com as well. 2 things. I need to revisit Arby's because I used to love the chicken cordon bleu. And you're right. I have not had the fries in far too long. And the Bear had a great line on KFC. And he's spot on. A thought that I've had on that spot for a long, long time. Their sides are incredible. Mashed potatoes and gravy for a fast food place like this. Drive-thrus are available. It's quick, in and out kind of deal.
Also, that helps the rating with Long John Silver's too, because you can go in there and get the KFC sides. You can get the LJS chicken and hush puppies with the tartar sauce, but you can also get the KFC sides, mashed potatoes and gravy and coleslaw and all that too.
I've always said, can you imagine if you could get an In-N-Out, like a double-double or a triple-triple And yes, I do. I whack down the 3x3s a lot when I go there. If you could have that along with McDonald's fries, that's unbeatable. That would be number one with a bullet to me.
So when I go to McDonald's every time now, I don't eat fries a lot, which might surprise a lot of people. And by the way, another thing that's helped my general health over the past 5 or 6 years, I kind of cut out Cokes and sodas.
Good move.
For the most part. You know, that sugar just packs in your gut down there. It's not good for you. People think if you drink Diet Coke, Diet Coke's horrible for you, too.
Yeah, it really is.
There's so much stuff in there, you don't even want to know what you're drinking. So a lot of times, most times, I just drink iced tea or water, or I do like 7-Up. If you go to In-N-Out Burger, 7-Up is very underrated. It feels like you're drinking something a lot cleaner than you're drinking the cola, right? But the Coke is so bad for you. I cut that out, and I think that's been a big plus over the last 5 or 6 years. That's a pro tip. Don't drink Cokes all the time. That stuff is terrible.
Tell Paulie that.
I've tried to tell him that.
So have I.
He doesn't listen to the advice we give him sometimes.
Now, you also put in the column, so for people who are like, my God, how does he possibly do this? You work out. You go to the doctor, you get clean bills of health.
Right.
I don't know, maybe it's a modern day miracle here, but regardless, I mean, you don't just sit on the couch all day long and do nothing.
No, I mean, I got the typical responses from a few people, which not many, which is great because I think 95% of the responses we got were fairly positive or debates, things like that.
Right.
That were great. And then you got the 3 or 4 or 5 Twitter clowns out there who are like, this guy's going to die of a heart attack, what a fat slob, whatever. Where do these people come from? How do these people get through life?
Yeah, let me guess, they were faceless, nameless accounts.
Of course. Always the faceless, nameless accounts. The cowards who don't put their names in anything. Hope you die of a heart attack, whatever. Anyway, that's not going to happen. Sorry, buddy.
Good Lord.
How about this from L.A. Street Dog yesterday? And this is another faceless account. This I had to laugh at this one. Tell me, Mitch, if you think this is legit. Went to Chicago last summer, and someone recommended I try Portillo's, and he misspelled it, of course. Took my first bite, threw my food away, blocked that person's number, and walked out.
Sure.
Place is vile.
Sure. That's exactly what happened, I'm guessing.
I'm sure.
You went there, you had a big order, can't wait to try it, took one bite, threw it out, and probably made a big scene. Yeah, you did.
Blocked that guy's number.
Twitter tough guy. That's exactly what it is.
Have you ever known anyone who's gone to Portillo's and said, wow, that place sucks?
Of course not. Not a chance, no.
There was another tweet from somebody who said, Culver's is trash. Do you know anyone who's gone to Culver's and said, this stuff is just trash. I can't eat this. Trash.
2 things on that. I didn't even know this. I mentioned this in your column. When Jeff Davis here at Circa had the pork line, I never even considered the pork line. But also, and you pointed this out, and somebody else did as well, what is it, the pot roast sandwich or something like that?
Pot roast sandwich.
Never had it?
Love the pot roast sandwich.
I got to go back.
I mean, that's the thing about Culver's. I said yesterday, you can go 7 days a week. You can go each of the days this week, have something different, and you're going to love everything you have.
Yeah. So, again, if you missed the show yesterday, 90 minutes. We had a blast doing it. It's the last one. It's up right now. Search Follow the Money wherever you get your podcasts. It's also, the column is it's so good on VSiN.com. I have a couple of bets today, player props in Major League Baseball. Are you betting any games at all?
Couple of I haven't bet them yet, but a couple games I'm looking at today, and I'll tell you what they are. A couple dogs on the West Coast games.
You mentioned the Blue Jays.
Toronto Blue Jays jumping out to me. Team that's playing really good baseball. Scherzer, you got Mad Max against Kershaw in this matchup, and Kershaw is a guy who could get lit up early in this game. I'm not too convinced. He's had a couple decent starts recently, but I'm watching him pitching. His velocity's way down. I think the Blue Jays are going to hit him. Right now here at Circa, Toronto's, plus 121. It was 128 earlier. So looking at the Blue Jays. Also another interleague game tonight. How about Walker Buehler and Nick Pivetta? Red Sox Padres in San Diego. Padres are up to minus 165. At DraftKings a little bit higher. Total of 8. Here's what we're going to look at. Red Sox plus and Padres over the team total of 4.5. I think you're going to get a high-scoring game tonight, but kind of cover my bases a little bit here. You get about plus 150 with the Red Sox. But also there's a good chance the Padres could beat up Walker Buehler. So I'm looking at a couple things in that game. I like the dog, but I do think the Padres are going to get to Walker Buehler.
I think 8's kind of a short number there in that game.
It looks short, doesn't it?
I know. I was thinking about maybe a first 5 bet on this game over as well. Yeah, Pivetta I saw him touch like higher than minus 170 earlier today.
Anytime the Padres get in that price range, you can't trust this team laying that type of number.
I would agree with that. Yep. I'll tell you throughout the show, I'll get to my K props that I bet. A couple of those for tonight. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. But up next, more National Football League. Broncos coach Sean Payton said what about his team? We'll tell you next here on VSiN.
Introducing the $500 trifecta. Use your GBank Visa signature credit card within